Now, one of the examples that we can provide for this epic is the story Biyag Nilam Ang. Okay. Biyag Nilam Ang is the Ilocano Biyag Nilam Ang is the oldest recorded Philippine folk epic and the only complete epic from the Christian Filipino roots. A relatively short epic with 977 lines. So this time, I'd like you to check your uh, uh, Google Classroom because I've sent there the story of Biag Nilang Ang. After 15 minutes, we'll go back here in Zoom and we will be eliciting the basic elements of the short story. But before you will read for 15 minutes the story of Biag Nilang Ang, I would like to provide questions first that would guide you in understanding and eliciting the different elements of the short story. So first question, who are the characters involved in the short story? Second, where and when the story happened? Third, what do you think is the theme of the story to the reader? And the third one, what are the sequence of events that happen in the story? So I'll be asking those questions later on. So I'd like you to go first to your Google Classroom. Okay, Google Classroom and check first the story that I've sent a while ago. Okay, students, hello, can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir.
Okay, so check for 15 minutes, go back here on Zoom. I'm just gonna end this first, then I'll be sending another link, okay? Read for 15 minutes.
Ano, sir? Ano, sir?
The short story that I've sent on Google Classroom.
May one oray man.
I already sent it. Try to
Ah,
check.
wait lang, sir. Saan yun, sir?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
ibig na lamang.
Yes, yes. So I'd like you to read that first. Then for 15 minutes, I'll be asking questions.
Saan ni pag-read, sir, sa Google?
Yes.
I mean, sa Google or sa Chrome or what?
You'll check Google Classroom, read first the story of Biag Nilam Ang. After 15 minutes, we will discuss. Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Students? Hello, students, can you hear me? Okay, so let's go back to the questions that we had a while ago. So for us to elicit the basic elements of short story under Biyag Nilamang. So we have the following questions that would guide us. First is, who are the characters involved in the short story? Second, where and when the story happened? Third, what do you think is the theme of the story to the reader? And fourth, what are the sequence of events that happen in the story? So let me ask someone to answer the first question. Anyone from the class or any volunteer? Okay, so let's have Ruchi. Ruchi,
Yes.
who are the characters involved in the short story? Ruchi, I guess your line is cutting in and out, so let's have another student. Let's have Vince.
Nga
Vince,
tanan, sir.
yes. Who are the characters involved?
Uh, the character in the story, sir, is Lamhang,
Again, sir.
Namungan,
Mhm,
Namungan, his father, Dunhuan, Igorot.
mhm,
Wait lang, sir. Igorot, Inis Kayunan,
mhm,
Inis Kayunan. spokesperson
Mm-hmm.
in his
And
parents, Albuan, and
mhm.
Birkakang.
Okay, that's great. Now let's proceed to the second question. As
Go
I've
ahead.
as I've just mentioned, these questions will help us in eliciting the basic elements of the short story, Biyag ni Lamang. Now let's have the second question, where and when the story happened. So let's call any other volunteer.
Sir? Sir?
Okay, Genevieve.
Um, I think, sir, this, um, in Nilbuan, sir?
Mhm.
In
Where
Nilbuan?
Okay, that's great. Good job on that one. Now, how about the third question? What do you think is the theme or the
Sir,
central
ano to
idea of
answer,
the
sir?
short story?
Sir, ano to answer sa number 2 question, sir?
Hello, can you hear me?
Naglala?
Can you hear me, students?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
sir.
Now let's proceed to the third question. What do you think is the theme of the story to the reader? Anyone from the class can provide the theme for us. Yes, Roche.
For me,
Roche.
that bravery and courage portrayed by Lamang when
Mhm.
facing the most difficult moment of his life.
Okay, facing the most difficult moment of his life. Now, how about the fourth question? What are the sequence of events that happened in the story? So let's just use the Gustav Freytag's pyramid that we've discussed a while ago. The exposition, rising action, the climax, falling action, and of course the denouement, or I mean denouement or the resolution. Anyone from the class can give us the sequence of the story? Anyone volunteer or just a short summary of it?
Sir,
Eunice?
sir.
Yes, Eunice.
Common to revenge other. Lamang's journey to the Tananituan. Lamang's pursuit of the child by his parents. Lastly,
Mm-hmm.
son of Isa that Pio Ante works.
Mm-hmm. That's it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you for that one, Eunice. Now, this time we're done already with our Google time. You've already checked your Google Classroom. So we're done with this. Now let's proceed to our alpha and your delta. Now, someone can share their alpha and their delta for us? Anyone? Anyone can share their alpha and their delta? Or I'll just call someone to share their alpha and their delta. Let's have JB. Is JB around? Yes, JB, please unmute your mic. What's your alpha and your delta? How about Samantha? Samantha,
For
what's...
today's lesson, okay,
Yes,
for
continue.
today's lesson, my alpha and or what I've learned today are the elements of the short story, meaning the characters, setting, plot and theme, the definition of epic, and one of its example, the Biag Nilam Ang. In Biag Nilam Ang, I also learned the characters, the setting, the theme, and the theme. That's also. And for my delta, I want to know more examples of the epic, especially the Mahabharata, and also the different structures of plot, because I think that diagram had evolved right now.
Mm,
That's all,
okay.
sir.
So meaning to say the plot have already evolved from
Yeah.
previous from your previous years. All right, that's great. Now let's proceed to our additional activity for this morning. So we will have our learning by doing. So try to observe the diagram. So as I just mentioned a while ago, we have the different parts of plot. We have the beginning or the exposition, the rising action, the middle or the climax, the falling action, the ending or the resolution. So I'm a believer of John Dewey's theories that one of it is the learning by doing. And this process whereby you students make sense of their experiences, especially those experiences in which they actively engage in making things and exploring the world. It is both a conceptual designation applied to a wide variety of learning situations. That's the reason why we will have our activity, which is the learning by doing. Wherein you are going to elicit another elements of short story, but this time it's way different, or it's a different story. It's named as Hinila Wood. We're going to connect and reflect. That's the reason why I will do the learning activity or learning by doing activity with you, in which you're going to research the story Hinila Wood and elicit the elements present in the story. This story Hinila Wood will also serve as your framework, okay? Will also serve as your framework in recognizing some situations that you are deeply connected, as well as doing it in your reflections, or as well as in doing your reflections of the story. So I'd like you to do this in a Microsoft Word. So you'll have your name, try to look at the screen, section, eliciting the story of Hinila Wood. You'll write the beginning part. You will also write the rising action. You will also write the climax, then the falling action, and the ending or the resolution. So you will do the eliciting of the story, Hinila Wood. Then at the end part of it, you're going to provide some lines that you are deeply connected out from the story, Hinila Wood. Is it clear to everyone? Any questions?
Can you repeat, sir?
Yes.
None.
Again, none. Okay, so again, so you'll be doing this in Microsoft Word. You'll be encoding this. You'll write your name. You'll write your section. You're going to elicit the story Hinila Wood. You'll try to research first the story Hinila Wood, then try to provide the beginning or the exposition of the story, the rising action, the climax or the middle, the falling action, and the ending or the resolution of the story. At the same time, at the end of that pyramid, you will provide some lines that you are deeply connected out from the story Hinila Wood. Is it clear to everyone? Any
Yes,
qu-
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
That's great. No questions?
None, sir.
That's
None,
okay.
sir.
None.
Okay, that's great. I hope that you've learned a lot from our discussion for this morning. So we will still see you next week. Do the activity and submit it on our Google
Yes,
Classroom.
sir.
Thank you and have a great day ahead of you. Bye.